we're going to be dealing with. They're going to be loud.
All right, let's go.
They're going to be noisy.
We got a tornado warning. So
we got
authentic, unfiltered.
In there. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt. We are breaking in because a tornado warning is being drawn up for Tuscaloosa County, a storm that we are tracking across the northern part of the county. We have been streaming live on our WBRC streaming platform tracking this storm if you have been with us. Right now, this storm, we're seeing indications in here of some winds that are gusting increased to 70 miles per hour, some damaging wind gusts with this. Matt, let's go back over to the velocity signature on this and show the rotation. You see right here clearly some rotation showing up with some of these enhanced winds. So from Wiley to Whitson, giving you a first alert here. If you're along Highway 69, get to that interior room. We have the possibility of a tornado spinning up right now along Highway 69. And even if we do not have a tornado, at least along this line, some damaging straight line winds. But that tornado warning is in effect until 7:45, and there it goes now crossing Highway 69. So right now, folks in northeast Tuscaloosa County, if you're anywhere from Browntown to Three Forks, giving you that first alert. Let's get in here really close to where this rotation is showing up, and you can see the lightning frequency has really ramped up. This is State Highway 69. Here's Wiley. Wyndham Springs is at the bottom of the screen. This is all tracking just to the north of Northport. There's Evanstown Road. This has now crossed mostly across Evanstown Road. It looks like the strongest of the winds right now south of Whitson, but there's the tornado warning as it has now popped up. And that is approaching over towards Three Forks. Tornado warning until 7:45. That polygon includes the northeast corner of Tuscaloosa County. It doesn't quite include Jefferson County, but if you're watching me anywhere from Little Shoal back to Bull City, giving you that first alert. That tornado warning has been issued. Now, if your weather radio is going off, if you're around the city of Tuscaloosa, Northport, just know this is impacting the northeast part of the county. Jasper, the way this is tracking, I think this stays south of us. We just had a very intense storm that moved through Jasper earlier, and that's tracked over towards Summerton and in towards Gardendale. That storm has stayed below severe levels, but we've been keeping an eye on these storms. It's one of those nights out there. These storms are going through frequencies where they weaken and then they re-intensify, and this has been a situation where storms, they sort of settle down, and now this storm has rapidly intensified. The air is not quite as worked over here in Tuscaloosa County, but let's get over to some first alert times. Matt's putting this on here, some exact times, and we may need to lower that threshold number as well. We'll put some towns on there, but we'll go back over to reflectivity and we'll take the lightning data off. But notice that 340 lightning strikes over the past 15 minutes. That lightning is quite intense, and sometimes with a system like this, when you do see that lightning really start to increase in number, that can be a signal that we do have a tornado trying to form. Let's take the lightning data off. Let's get back in here to street level, and we'll name some of these roads, and we'll put some first alert times on here for you. Let's go back to reflectivity. And you can see right there around Highway 69. There's Highway 69. There's Foley Road. We'll pan the map there, and you'll see those roads pop up. But Wiley, Whitson, and the way this is moving, this is tracking towards Three Forks. There's County Road 38. You can see as Matt pans the screen. We'll put some more roads. And really, a lot of this is out in the rural part of Tuscaloosa County. Just keep twisting that map there, Matt, and you'll see those names will increase. There you go. Just kind of pan the map. You need to kind of, there you go, right there. That is Williams Camp Road. Just want to make sure this is not far from Yellow Creek, if you're familiar with that area there in northern Tuscaloosa County. Basically, anywhere around Three Forks, Yellow Creek, Williams Camp Road, all those locations still need to be inside some intense lightning with this storm in particular. So let's back the view out just a little bit so you can see where this is. This is all north, and this is well north and west of Birmingham. This is north of Tuscaloosa, south of Jasper. This is in that northeast corner of Tuscaloosa County. If you're hearing some rumbles, this is south of Fayette. It moved through Berry, and now some first alert times takes this. If it holds together, got to watch this line. It's really starting to line up. You see this? This line, it goes from near Springville back to Warrior. Nothing severe back in here, but that line is really filled in, and it seems like it's all starting to drop in towards the south. So if this does hold together, this one part of the line, that could certainly end up out here close to, not far from Oak Grove, Rock Creek, maybe Little Shoal, some of these locations. So just something to watch. Let's keep an eye on this. We're not under a warning in Jefferson County just yet, but just giving you the first alert that it is something we need to monitor. If you're in Tuscaloosa County, though, get to that safe place. As I mentioned earlier, I know we're under a severe thunderstorm watch at this point, but severe thunderstorms, it's just one of those days. We're seeing some of those ingredients where we could see an isolated tornado. But the latest track on this, let's put some first alert times on this map and want to make sure that we give you some first alerts for where this could be. Oak Grove, if this storm does hold together, looks like it could be in Toadvine around 746. It could be around Gilmore around 746 and Oak Grove 747. Concord Elementary School around 752. Again, I'm just giving you some times if this does hold together. The worst part of this, and that polygon only includes Tuscaloosa County. If we go back over to the base velocity and just look at the rotation on this, it seems like there's still a little bit of rotation right there. It seems like the worst of the winds has now crossed Highway 69. This is right around Chestnut Ridge Road and Three Forks. So if you're in Blackburn Road, Chestnut Ridge Road, and Three Forks, that's where we're likely seeing some of those stronger winds. And a lot of indications. You go to that Barron triple threat where we're seeing possibility of some large hail with this as well. But I know there's quite a lightning show probably showing up here. I mean, 377 lightning strikes over the past 15 minutes with some of this. I know it is really popping there north of Tuscaloosa at this time. So the severe thunderstorm watch has been canceled for Lamar, Marion, and Winston County, so some good news happening there. This tornado warning is set to expire at 7:45. We are going to stay with you here on the Big Channel 6. We have been streaming on our streaming app, tracking storms for you because we didn't have an active tornado warning. But as always, I know we've got some sports programming on, but just to let you know, anytime we have a tornado warning, you know, these warnings, these tornadoes behave erratically, and sometimes, you know, you just got to track them. It's almost like we say, it's like tracking a missile sometimes with these tornadoes because you never exactly know when you get down to the street level exactly which way they'll maneuver. But this one in particular, this area has a history of producing some strong wind gusts, and that's one of the big concerns. Not necessarily even if this is a EF0, EF1 type tornado. I mean, even at that level, you can still have straight line winds of similar fashion. Now, this really tells the story. Matt, go back a few scans right here. You see that? You can see the rotation where that tornado would be located, and that's not far from Wiley. So loop this along, Matt. There it is right there. You can see it looks like it might have produced a tornado right here as it crossed Highway 69. You can see it in the velocity data, that little bit of a spin. That's from Wiley to Whitson. Let's pixel query some of this data. Just look at, now this is elevated scans from the radar, but just to kind of tell, let's see, that's showing some winds there now around, well, there you go, see 73 mile per hour winds. Now this is elevated at a higher range height from the radar site, but you're talking 73 miles per hour at least at the surface. That is definitely going to be at least some 58 mile per hour winds. Matt standing by. Matt, what do you have for us?
Yeah, we've got a new warning out for you. We got a new severe thunderstorm warning out. It's not yet showing up on the radar, but this is going to be for Jefferson County and into Walker County. This is going to be for, as I get this new information for you, this is going to be until 8:30 for the potential to see 60 mile per hour wind gusts, and is probably right along that boundary, that line that Wes was mentioning, from Jasper to Dorr towards the Morris area. In fact, we need to look at that storm again in the Morris area. Wes, I'm seeing a little bit of an interesting signature on the reflectivity. Not necessarily could be anything, but we'll watch it. Yeah, there's a little bit of some strong winds there showing up in around Kimberly and Morris. So there could be some strong winds right around Highway 31 pushing through this region. So we could see some 60 mile per hour wind gusts associated with this storm. Still waiting on this warning to show up, but it's going to be for parts of Walker County into northern Jefferson County. So we'll just give you some times if you're in the Kimberly area, right around between now and about 7:40. For North Jefferson Middle School, if you live in that area, we're talking about 740, and Bryan Elementary School at 741, seeing some strong winds. So once again, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Jefferson and into Walker County. So we got a tornado warning that's in Tuscaloosa, and now we got two severe storms. Wes? Okay, perfect.
The Weather Service is going to cancel the tornado warning for Tuscaloosa County. We're going to stay with this here for a little bit, but they have added on that severe thunderstorm warning that does now include, there it is right there, just popped up for this storm. I mean, definitely seeing some impactful winds. This is a dangerous storm that's moving in right now. Let's just look at this latest now with the Weather Service. There are different levels of severe thunderstorm warnings, and this particular one is addressing possibility of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with this. So sometimes we get these destructive thunderstorm tags, just making sure it's not at that level. But clearly you can see there's a wall of wind right there. These are the winds moving towards the radar site. So right in here is where we're going to have some of those gusts, 50+ miles per hour. So the rotation, you can see this is very linear. Obviously, when you look at the velocity data, these are straight line winds for the most part at this point. Tuscaloosa, the northeast corner of the county, warning has been canceled. That's not to say that the weather's calmer. I mean, there's still some lightning, some gusty winds, straight line winds, but that is now about to cross over into Jefferson County. So as we look at the picture here, over the next 30 to 60 minutes, where can we expect those impacts? Here's Highway 269. So basically, Sylvan Springs, if you're watching me there, over to Little Shoal, I'd mentioned one area popped up, Toad Vine, Oak Grove, all those communities there in northern Jefferson County. You are going to be impacted here over the next 30 minutes with the possibility of some damaging straight line wind gusts. Could be some large hail with this as well, and some intense cloud to ground lightning. There's still this one area here to the north. Matt, let's go back into this one storm. I know it's really getting our attention. We might have a live view here that we can go to from Gardendale from our 8-air tire camera. We'll try to bring that up for you. But this is a storm that started out near Jasper and Summerton. It did produce some very, very strong wind gusts. That's now crossing around Kimberly, and it's going to be moving up towards Compton. I know this is an area with that most recent round of storms. We had a lot of severe weather. This is staying just below severe levels, but clearly there's a little bit of wind rotation going on in here. We've been seeing this area, we go over to the radar mode, and clearly you can see it is really coming down. But this is basically Gardendale, north of Gardendale, some intense lightning. Let's bring up that 8-air tire camera, Matt, and we'll show you the view. Okay, I'll switch sources. Here we go. So this is what it looks like right now, looking back into that storm there north of Birmingham, 71 degrees. But one thing I watch out for on a night like this is just one of those tricky nights where everything seems fine and then you get a storm and it produces a tornado. I really watch the lightning on nights like this, and it seems like the frequency has backed off some. It was almost strobe-like effect earlier, but that has lessened up, so hopefully these storms will behave and continue to weaken somewhat. Now, this one, again, it's not at severe levels, but it's just one that we've been eyeing all night long. If you've been following along on our streaming coverage, we've been tracking this one particular storm. But let's go back over to the big view here as we go to, once again, just to let you know, I know a lot of you are flipping over. You got the alert, you got the alarm. There was a tornado warning for northern Tuscaloosa County. That has now expired, but still a very impactful storm with some winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour now moving into Jefferson County. I want to try to put some times on this just to show you from Bessemer and Birmingham. Let's see if we can put some manual storm tracks. We'll give you some arrival times here before we send it back over to regular programming. But since we don't have an active tornado warning in effect, what we will do is we will send it back over to programming, and we'll have another radar check at the top of the hour, because I know it is a very active night out there. But Concord Elementary School, you can see around 746. I should say. Pleasant Grove High School around 750, some of these strong straight line winds. Hueytown High School around 750, as well as Molka Baptist Church around 750, and it looks like Hueytown around 752, and Minor Community School, there's some updated times. That's showing Fairfield around 756, Brighton around 756, Hueytown around 752. So some first alert arrival times for this severe storm. definitely looks like a more impactful storm compared to what we had Saturday. I know we had some severe thunderstorm warnings on Saturday, but this looks like it's a different level type storm. Definitely looks like there's going to be some strong winds with this. Not really seeing, though, the good news is not seeing widespread reports.
You know, Wes, I was just analyzing this storm.
Looks like I'm sorry, Matt, just
Yeah.
I want to mention a tree down in Hayden, but go ahead.
Yeah, just analyzing this kind of storm. This is something we'll have to keep a close eye on because right now it does look like a straight line wind threat as it's moving to the southeast around 40 to 45 miles per hour. But one thing I have to note is, you know, it's still really warm to the south of the storm, and sometimes you got to watch out for quick spin ups that can associate with this kind of storm. So even though we are in a severe thunderstorm warning, you may want to treat this like it's a tornado warning, because when you get these straight line winds of 60 miles per hour, that's going to create damage similar to that. And it only takes 1 or 2 scans that we may miss, and there could be a quick cycle where a tornado could quickly form. Not saying there's anything confirmed with this, but it's going to be something we have to watch as it's moving pretty rapidly towards the south and east. So this is a signature that's going to probably cause some issues in parts of Jefferson County. So if you're in the Hueytown area, even for Birmingham, Homewood, Vestavia Hills, even towards the Hoover area, we're talking about a timeline probably moving in around the 8 o'clock to 8:30 time frame as these really strong winds push off towards the south and east. So that's something we're going to watch. I'm going to do it more times once again. Vines Mill at 751, Oak Grove 753. Once again, this is in Jefferson County. And Concord Elementary School almost around 8 o'clock. And once again, this is a signature that we're seeing that's indicating some pretty strong straight line winds. So I'm going to take these little cursors off and zoom in, and you can see these green, the bright green and the red indicating some pretty strong winds, straight line winds that are moving off towards the south and east. So with Ezra towards Mud Creek, Gilmore, Alliance, North Johns, these are the areas that are going to likely be seeing those strong damaging winds over the next 30 minutes or so. So this is the main storm to watch at the moment. I will note it looks like we have another severe storm in Mississippi. Near West Point, near the Columbus area, Mississippi. And obviously the flow is moving to the south and east. So we'll have to watch this. This could clip parts of Pickens County, producing some strong storms right along Highway 82. So we just want to give you that first alert. So we've got the severe thunderstorm warning that's currently impacting Jefferson County, western Jefferson County. And this will include downtown Birmingham, down towards Hoover. And probably that time frame is going to happen around 8 to 8:30. So we're keeping a close eye on this. I know, Wes, you're keeping a close eye with the National Weather Service chat room, seeing what they're looking at. Got anything new for us?
Yeah, it looks like the severe thunderstorm warning was canceled for southeastern Fayette County. We had a severe thunderstorm warning for Fayette County. That has been canceled. But as Matt noted, this is a very intense storm, especially with some of the wind signatures that we saw earlier. Just want to keep an eye on this here. And if you're around Birmingham, again, areas back to the west, just know that you could still have the kind of damage that might be produced by a small tornado when you're talking straight line winds gusting up to 60 plus miles per hour. Definitely some strong winds in here, and we can actually pixel query and show you what these wind speeds look like in here. Just now crossing the Warrior River, 65 mile per hour winds. And here it comes. That's right around Little Shoal, close to 70 mile per hour winds. Now this is the radar scan. This is off to about 2,000 feet up. This is off the surface, but you translate that down closer to the ground, that's still some damaging winds that we could be seeing with this. That's between Bull City and Little Shoal. Let's get in closer so we can see some of the roads in here where those strong wind impacts. There's County Highway 54, County Highway 15. Also, there's Camp Oliver Road. If you're watching me around Camp Oliver Road, you need to be in a site-built structure, a sturdy structure. You're going to have some real strong winds about to move through here. There's Toadvine. Here's Gilmore and Oak Grove. Oak Grove and Lock 17 roads right here at the bottom of the screen, giving you the first alert. If you're around Oak Grove, going to have some strong winds. Here it comes from the west direction. Not a tornado warning at this time, but we're concerned about some damaging straight line wind gusts. There's Alliance at the top of the screen. Birmingport and Alliance is at the top of the screen. Here's Concord Elementary School. We had mentioned a few moments ago. Again, Lock 17 Road. If you're around Ezra, Hueytown north to Concord, Rock Creek, and also back in towards Ezra, Mud Creek areas. You're about to deal with some of these strong straight line winds. And here it is right now showing up. Matt's even showing there's some rotation showing up right in there as it just crossed the river. That is right around County Highway 54, and it looks like it's right over County Highway 54. And just looking at some other roadways there, that is zoom back in, Matt. I'm trying to get a bearing here. That's Nancy Ann Bend Road. Nancy Ann Bend Road that's showing up on the screen. I just want to read that off for you in case you were having trouble seeing that on the screen. But a severe thunderstorm warning will stay in effect for looks like now Calhoun, Cherokee, Cleburne, and Etowah counties under a severe thunderstorm warning. So Matt, let's go back and let's show that warning here quickly. Looks like we have another warning that has popped up. Looks like it might be trying to show some rotation again here, Matt.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
This is what I was mentioning literally just a few minutes ago, is you're starting to see maybe a little bit of rotation trying to happen on the southern
right there.
flank of that storm. Yeah, right just to the north of Bull City. You can sort of see the reflectivity, the rotation, and then when you look at the shear rate, don't like this signature. I'm not a big fan of seeing this because this is showing maybe a little bit of rotation or strong winds impacting County Road 15. There's Groundhog Road there. This is where we're seeing the strongest rotation. This is just to the west of Oak Grove, Ezra, Mud Creek. If we're calling your name out, I would treat this severe thunderstorm warning definitely want to take cover with this because we're talking about some really strong winds and the potential maybe of an isolated tornado. A lot of people are saying, hey, I was only in a thunderstorm warning, and then they survey damage later and they find that it's a tornado. So we want you to treat this warning very seriously because I'm definitely seeing that sign of rotation. You're seeing that curl going around, and around that you see a lot of rotation as well. Let's show you that velocity signature. And when you start seeing, that's the inflow going into the storm, and it's bringing in a lot of that warm, unstable air. And in that rotation where you see those bright green colors, that's indicating some really strong wind speeds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. So nothing confirmed with this, but definitely a strong signature indicating some very damaging winds approaching towards Ezra and Mud Creek. And look at this latest signature, Wes. This signature,
yeah, see some strong rotation with that.
Yeah, that's very strong rotation.
Yeah, and yeah, the Weather Service, I mean, they got a flood advisory. Looks like a flood advisory in effect for Fayette, for that area. Just seeing some of the chats going on here. This area is definitely, we have the shear markers turned on, so if we start to see that yellow line that sometimes you'll see here on AccuTrack. And basically this is next generation Viper. You heard us talk about the Viper system for so many years. It's the same technology, and what we're seeing here right now is we're looking at the velocity, the winds moving towards away from the radar, and at this point the circulation is clearly there. We got some rotation, definitely some strong straight line winds. That is around Mud Creek, Groundhog Road area. If you live anywhere around Groundhog Road, you know where we're talking about. Let's get in even down some of those streets so we can see the roadways. There's Oak Grove. So this is moving right in towards the town of Oak Grove. There's County Road 15. Now, Oak Grove, this is not a tornado warning, but just know it is a storm that is showing some signs of a little bit of rotation. It's got some strong straight line winds. This is crossing right around County Road 15 at this time, and that's as we go in for a close view. Let's bring in the let's go look at the shear rate, and we can take some of this noise off the screen for you, and let's just stop it right here. Let's get into some of the roads right where this strong rotation showing up at this time. This is, I mentioned, around County Road 15, and this is County Road 59. We'll slow the map down just a little bit. There you go. There's around County Road 15. Here's Lock 17 Road here at the top of the screen. Paul Allman Road at the top of the screen as well. So if you're watching me there, it looks like the worst of this is now passing through some of those stronger winds. But at 7:44 here on a Monday night, you're watching WBRC. We are staying with you at this time because we are monitoring some rotation moving into Jefferson County, a storm that is right right there, you can see it's starting to move closer to Oak Grove. It's not a tornado warning, but just giving you the first alert, something that we are watching. We do have some strong straight line winds with this. It's crossing near Mud Creek, Ezra, Oak Grove. Could have some intense cloud to ground lightning. Here's Concord. You can see at the top of the screen. Let's keep an eye on this as this moves into Jefferson County. Let's take you back out to the big picture here just to show you what's going on elsewhere. Clearly, right there, Matt, you can see there's a little bit of spin showing up, a little hail core to the north. This area right in here north of Mud Creek, there's some spin going on right there. That is concerning, you know, looking at the radar. Need to see a few more scans on this, but that's approaching right around Mud Creek Road. There's County Road 15. Again, if you're between Mud Creek Road, Ezra, County Road 15, I'm giving you the first alert. You need to be indoors right now and ready to take action in case this is upgraded to a warning. This is around Bessemer and North Johns area. What's that now? Okay. All right. So Bessemer and North John. So also watching this area here as well. So again, that's going to be the same storm. Actually, Matt, let's back this view out a little bit and see what's going on a bit further south as well. So basically, it's for this storm. Again, as you can see, that is dropping in from the north. We also have back to the north and east here. Don't want to forget about our friends in Cherokee County. Looking at a severe thunderstorm warning right now that does include Center, Gadsden area, severe thunderstorm warning. That's part of this line in here. Let's go to the rotation and just see. We might have some strong damaging winds in some spots. Looks like right around Weiss Lake, winds really picking up. Probably get a better view out of High Top, Matt, on this for parts of Cherokee County. Let's just, yeah, right there. You see some strong winds. That's moving right around Weiss Lake Center. It's across Leesburg. The worst of this is through Leesburg, but if you're in Center around Weiss Lake approaching Galesville, a first alert for some damaging straight line winds with this storm as it tracks to the east. Let's follow this line a bit further south, and we'll get back to that one that's showing some rotation over Jefferson County, but you can see the winds are a bit more scattered in this area, but definitely if you're anywhere from Hoax Bluff, Crystal Springs, all the way back into Jacksonville and Piedmont included. This is approaching us now, Jacksonville to Piedmont. First alert, this line's moving in. There will be some intense lightning with this and some very locally heavy rainfall. And this is the only other warning that we have, but look at that, over 300 strikes, lightning strikes. So these storms are still very intense that are moving through Cherokee County, and then you can see that heavier rain back towards Springville and Asheville and back into the central part of the area. But I want to go back to this one storm that's really grabbing our attention, and one of the reasons we're staying on screen here with you is because there's a chance, just in case I don't want to break right away and then we have a tornado warning, definitely seeing some spin going on with this. So we're just monitoring the scans coming in right now just in case this is upgraded to a tornado warning. It's very close because we continue to see these little indications there. Obviously there's some wind flowing into this. There's some spin going on, as you can clearly see by the reflectivity. We go to the velocity and go to the rotation tracker, and you see right there around Mud Creek and Ezra. Looks very similar to what it looked like when it crossed northeast Tuscaloosa County, right around Highway 69. Click on that, Matt. Pixel query that. I bet right there we're seeing some very strong winds. 85-mile-per-hour winds. Again, this is look at velocity data where radar beams higher up in the atmosphere, but we're seeing those kind of indications at the surface easily, seeing some strong straight-line winds there right around Mud Creek Road and Ezra. And this about 1,400 feet up, according to our executive producer Jeremy's watching the radar also in the back and giving us some updates, and says gave us a range height on that radar scan. So that's not too far up into the atmosphere. But listen, Bessemer, if you're in North Johns, if you're in McAdory, I'm giving you the first alert right now. We're going to have some very potent winds about to move through. We'll probably catch some of the views coming up here on that Pinnacle Motorsports camera that we have in Bessemer. So we'll get that ready to go and on standby as well. Be ready for some of those strong winds to move through. But this is about to impact parts of Jefferson County. It's actually over Jefferson County, but a little bit closer to Birmingham. This is going to be approaching. There's Hueytown High School. See right there. To the north is Rock Creek area. South there's Hueytown. There's Lakeview Estates, Valley Creek, and the Chin area, North Johns. Let's get into some of the roads here. That's Valley Ford Road. Valley Ford Road, we're about to have some of these stronger winds approaching here. It's about to cross right around Valley Creek and Valley Ford Road, Hardman Lane. There's the Virginia Community Lakeview Estates. First alert for you. These are strong straight line winds that we're seeing indicated at the moment, and there could be a low wind tornado with this as well as this tracks to the east direction. A lot of lightning showing up with this as well, but those are the strongest winds. Birmingham's at the top of the screen. You can see it back in here. Tuscaloosa's off the screen back in this direction, so this is between Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, an area where we see a lot of active weather track through this part of Jefferson County. I was over in Rock Creek not too long ago speaking to a group, and folks in this area certainly know a thing or two about severe weather. We've seen a lot of it track through. Again, it's kind of a borderline storm at the moment, but let's put some first alert times on this. Let's keep you well ahead of it. Let's take right there around Ezra, and let's track this out towards Concord and Hueytown and Fairfield. So let's give you some first alert times. If you're watching us in Brighton, if you're watching us around New Hill, here's some times Matt's putting on the screen. So 7:50 right now, showing Hueytown High School at 8 o'clock, Hueytown around 8:03, West Hills Elementary School, first alert time 8:05. There's Bessemer around 8:07, and you can see around Jonesboro Elementary School around 8:07 as well. So some first alert arrival times on this, and looks like there might have been a little bit of spin, but looks like that sort of backed off, Matt, on the latest scan, so hopefully that trend will continue. But definitely one of the stronger storms that we have seen all day, and this is one location here where we really haven't seen quite as many storms today. Matt, I don't know what you're seeing with respect to the lightning on this, but we have this warning. We've got the one currently underway in Cherokee and northern Calhoun counties. Any other warnings that are being issued by the National Weather Service?
Right now, just looking at those warnings, once again, it's what we have up to our north and east, up towards Cherokee, Calhoun, Etowah County, into Cleburne counties. We're watching those strong winds, but I think the biggest concern right now is in Jefferson County. We got a lot of people in this path from Hueytown to Virginia to Bessemer, right along 2059. I would not be wanting to be driving in these areas at all. When you see this kind of signature, and we've got some state-of-the-art amazing technology here with this rotation detector, and one of the things that I've learned over the past several years with our awesome technology is when you see something like this, most likely we are getting some damage. Most likely it's either straight line winds or there could be some rotation, maybe a tornadic signature, and we've been seeing signs of that rotation, but right now this is showing damaging winds possibly of 60 to 70 miles per hour. And once again, a lot of people will get confused with damage, saying, oh, I thought it was a tornado, and then they survey and it's straight line winds. So straight line winds, something to take very seriously. So if we called out your name, those are the spots that really need you to pay close attention. Go ahead and get into your safe spot, especially if you live in an area with lots of trees nearby. Those trees could be coming down. So once again, County Road 36 towards Lakeview Estates, Hueytown, the Hueytown High School area towards Bessemer. As this crosses 2059, it's probably going to be making its way into Lipscomb and Brighton and Bessemer and into the Cloverdale area. So just want to give you that first alert heads up. You start seeing those red colors, that indicates strong rotation, strong winds, and it doesn't take a lot for that to transfer to the surface and create some significant issues. So we're staying here watching this. I know it's a severe thunderstorm warning, but this is starting to move into some pretty big populated areas with potential to see some really strong winds. We'll go back to reflectivity. And once again, even towards the Bayview area, where you start seeing those purples on reflectivity, that's indicating maybe some hail, maybe pea size to dime size. So that's something we'll be watching. In fact, we got some new times we can show you for more strong winds and heavy rain. So in Hueytown, right around 8:05. If you live near Mulga Baptist Church, we're talking about 8:07. Brighton, right around 8:10. So get ready for some strong winds as well. Wes, you got anything new to provide us with?
Well, no, Matt, I was just going to say, let's get in here for a closer view. Let's take this lightning off. Let's clear some of this off the screen. We got a lot going on here. It's real busy. I want to zoom in right between Ezra and Hueytown. Let's get in right in this area where we see some streets on the screen for folks. I want to give you the first alert. Here's Fairfield, here's Brighton, here's Bessemer, and there's Concord and Hueytown. So here we go. So we can see some of the roadways in here and some of the areas that could be impacted. Let's stop it right here. There's Lakeview Estates, there's Hueytown, there's Virginia Drive, White Oak Lane, and I'm calling out all these areas for the risk of some strong straight line winds. Do I see a large tornado with this right now? No, but we have seen some indications where it seemed like it may be trying about to produce a tornado. Hasn't quite gotten to that level. That's not to say this still could be producing some strong 70+ mile per hour wind gusts. That is a possibility. We want to make sure you're at least ready for that. Preferably, if you're in a site-built structure, you do not need to be in a vehicle right now trying to get out ahead of this. I mean, this is approaching fairly quickly. There it is already. See the latest scan. It's coming up here on Hueytown. There's Virginia Drive, Virginia Road, Concord to Hueytown. That's where we have some of the strongest winds right now. Cedar Brook Forest, Highland Forest, and Point South. There's Lakeview Estates at the bottom of the screen. So a lot of lightning, some heavy rain. You're going to get some strong wind gusts in this area. And if you do you might get some power flashes in these areas as well as these storms produce some strong wind gusts. Let's go to the tower camera right now. And what we can do is we're going to take the view from Red Mountain just so you can see. This is looking back in that general direction. Just see what the lightning's like. Now this is, we're located of course high atop Red Mountain. That's the club there from Red Mountain. Matt, let's go back over to tower camera if we can. And yeah, let's just keep that view up for just a second here. I just want to look at the view back off to the west. Okay, so yeah, there we go. So yeah, we are seeing quite a bit of lightning there back off to the west direction. This is a live look tonight from Birmingham. We've already had a couple storms move through, and I mentioned this earlier. It's one of those nights just because you had a storm that moved through. It's not a storm moves through and then the threat is over. Just stay alert if you are in some of these locations underneath a severe thunderstorm watch, because we are going to see more of these popping up throughout late evening tonight as these storms slowly march to the east and south. All this riding along a warm front boundary, and this is one of those setups that we see sometimes in the spring where sometimes you get a discrete supercell thunderstorm that can form and it can produce a tornado on a night like this. So that's why it's just too soupy. I mean, you just know today we had highs around 80 degrees for this time of the year. So it is a very, very very warm night for this time of the year. We go back over to radar, and this was a view from John Dent. I believe I have the view. This was from Morris earlier as the storm moved through northern Jefferson County, but you can see starting to get some content from all of our viewers out there and our First Alert weather watchers. But it was just very windy, rain, lightning, and this is a lot of what we're dealing with out there tonight. Really haven't seen many reports of large hail with some of these storms. I thought that would be a big concern out of some of these storms earlier today, but this is a look at the radar right now, and we also have a live look. Let's take you over to Bessemer. This is what it looks like. Here it comes now in the Bessemer area. That's from Pinnacle Motorsports right now, where it is 70 degrees. I mean, even if we did have a tornado with something like this, it'd be very difficult to spot, especially on a night like this with so much rain. But you can see that wind is really starting to pick up. This is right there, right before you get to 459, the interchange of 459 and Interstate 5920. But this is off of the Powder Plant Road exit right there in Bessemer. But this is Pinnacle Motorsports First Alert Sky Vision camera that we have, and you can just see that wind is really starting to pick up now. We don't have an actual gust report coming in. I know that says calm, but clearly you look at this, that's the airport observation I believe we have coming in. But the winds in here, look at folks out there on the interstate right now driving in this mess. It is very nasty out there tonight. Again, some poor visibility, poor driving conditions as these storms march through, and there you go. We might have lost the feed there as those winds continue to pick up. Let's get back over to where that strongest gust of wind is now near Concord to Bessemer, and that is now moving into the Bessemer area. This is that severe thunderstorm. Here's Birmingham, so this is just minutes away from also impacting Birmingham. I think areas south of the city, you get down in towards Hoover and Vestavia and back to Brighton, there's Midfield, all of these areas back towards Oxmoor Road. We're going to have some strong winds on the west side of town out of this, and it looks like right around Hueytown, Matt, right there. Let's get to this one location. Looks like a little bit of rotation again showing up. This one little Looks sort of like a little vortice there showing up around Hueytown. That's Brookline Place, and we do see the inbound, outbound winds and some rotation. It's showing up in there. That's around Hueytown. These storms, it's just below that level to where we would see a tornado or produce a warning, but I know the Weather Service is keeping a very close eye on this. It does look like the worst of this, though, some of those locations that we were talking about earlier, if you're in Oak Grove, Toad Vine, if you're in those areas, you're in good shape right now. The worst of this has passed. Now, if you're in Shelby County, first alert, your weather radios are about to go off if they haven't already. We now have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for Shelby County to be included. It looks like this, the way this is tracking, this is dropping to the south. This warning will be in effect until 9 o'clock. So areas from Chelsea all the way over to Hoover, Pelham, Alabaster included in this, even Helena. This will be until 9 o'clock this evening. So a severe thunderstorm warning, and it's all because of this one storm. Almost has sort of a kidney bean shape to it. Sometimes with these HP storms like this, we see that. We see a little bit of an inflow, and that's what we're dealing with. More of a high precipitation storm that's tracking in towards the south. There's Matt placing that polygon warning on there. So we have 9 o'clock for Shelby County. Matt, let's get an update on Jefferson County's warning. And you see that's until 8:30 p.m. for Jefferson County. Right now, the immediate concern, damaging winds, and this has a history of producing a tornado warning, so that's why we're just going to stay on this. There's still a very intense looking storm. Clearly, when we look at the radar scans here, this is easily going to be the kind of storm that could produce some damaging wind gusts. That's right around Bessemer Gardens, Hueytown, Bessemer, and that is now crossing Interstate 5920. That is right there around the Brighton and Lipscomb exit from what I see here on the radar. Let's go to a very close view. Some of the stronger winds right now, Brighton, Fairfield, probably hearing some loud rumbles. This is tracking from Hueytown. There's Bessemer Parks and Recreations facility. There's Bessemer, J.S. Abrams Elementary School, Lipscomb. Some of these areas right now are feeling the impacts from this, and this will catch up, this rotation detection. This is one of the proprietary products of the radar. The actual scan shows that storm is now crossing right here around Brighton and Collins. These winds basically are in this area right now from Bessemer, and you can see there's a live look again as we go to our First Alert Sky Vision. This is what it looks like in Bessemer right now, folks, so stay off the roads if you can until this passes through. This is a very dangerous storm, damaging straight line winds. The last go around saw some of those stronger impacts around Pinson and areas to the northeast. Now it seems like western Jefferson County dealing with some of those stronger impacts, and Matt has some breaking information for us. Matt, what do you have? Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, yeah, it looks like we're getting some reports of maybe some trees going down as well, and from Concord near Groundhog Road and Mud Creek Road. So we're getting reports of this. This is definitely going to bring in some intense wind in Bessemer towards the Brighton area. Definitely want to hunker down if you can. Stay away from windows. I would get in the central part of your home if you can. These are going to be very strong winds. So if you live anywhere where there's a bunch of trees could go down with these kind of intense winds. I mean, look at this very large area of strong winds aloft that are hitting this region. We're going to show you that velocity once again, looking at reflectivity. This signature tells me one thing. This isn't necessarily going to be a rotation. This is showing just straight line winds. When you go from the green immediately to the yellow, red, and purple, that's some straight line winds right now through Bessemer and through parts of the Brighton area and Hueytown getting hit pretty hard with very heavy rain, maybe even some small hail. But Wes, we've been tracking this. I'm going to show you this view once again, showing you what's happening in Bessemer in real time, because you just got to see it right here, right now. We've got lots of heavy rain and wind, and the biggest part of the storm is moving through the Bessemer area as we speak. So we're just ignore the top. It's not showing those real-time information when it comes to the actual wind speeds in real time every minute, but you can see the intense lightning and the heavy rain that is pushing through the area in parts of western Jefferson County. So once again, we got those severe thunderstorm warnings once again for Jefferson County, and this has been extended into Shelby County. So you've got a long amount of time of waiting and preparing for this storm as it's pushing off towards the south and east, right around 40-50 miles per hour. So from Birmingham down towards Hoover, Highway 31, if you're going 280, it is going to be a mess. So let people know anywhere in this area, if they're planning on traveling or maybe traveling soon, they just need to stay where they're at. Let these storms move through from Hueytown, Bessemer, Hoover to Pelham to Chelsea, Alabaster, all the way down towards even Columbiana and Harpersville, right along 231. And if this continues to hold together, it could go even farther into maybe parts of Talladega County as well. So this is a bowing segment, and that bowing segment is usually a strong indication of damaging straight line winds. Still watching the camera in Bessemer, lots of heavy rain and a lot of lightning. But once again, the signature that we're seeing now, I don't really see much in the way of rotation, so that's good. We're not necessarily looking at a tornado, but definitely showing some pretty strong winds over the past 20 to 30 minutes, Wes.
All right, Matt, and we just want to stay on this storm here, as definitely it's having quite an impact moving through the metro and impacting parts of Jefferson County. This is the live look from Bessemer, and it is incredibly stormy out there tonight. Let's go back to radar view, though, and I want to jump back over. Matt's got this zoomed in. The worst part of this right now is it looks like it has crossed there very close to Lawson State Community College, based on where I'm seeing this. Let's see, there's Fairfield, there's Brighton, here's the Bessemer Superhighway. So yeah, a lot of this is right around Lawson State Community College. Here's Lipscomb, Brighton, and then this is Lakeshore Parkway right here. You see that on the screen. That's where Lakeshore Parkway starts. So Lakeshore Parkway from Bessemer and Lakeshore Parkway all the way back to Homewood. These are all locations, and you take that north to Fairfield, where we're about to have the risk of some damaging straight line winds, 58 miles per hour. So there could be some power outages in here, could be some strong wind gusts. And we got some reports from our storm spotter Ryan Carty in the Hueytown area, seeing some power flashes out there as well. So we do have some ground truth to go along with exactly what we were just talking about. But Matt, there's Oxmoor. And I tell you what, if we go to, let's go to Bluff Park camera, let's get that in there as well. Let's hold this view too, because we can see a lot of the roads. There's J.S. Abrams, Brighton, Fairfield, Central Park, Highlands, Shady Side, and there's Thomas. This is right at the junction. So a lot of this will impact the city of Birmingham. But we have a severe storm moving into the Birmingham area. First alert if you're in Homewood, if you are along Lakeshore Parkway, there it is right there. Here's Oxmoor Road in this area as well. There's Duncan, there's Camden Place. I'm just keeping the view out a little bit so you can see it's this entire line now that's pushing through. Once that moves through, that risk of some damaging winds will be over. Let's check out a live look. This line is approaching right now. We're going to scan the sky from our tower camera that we have here in Birmingham. We're going to be looking back to the west direction. So what you're going to see is the lightning basically happening in this part of the storm. If we take that full screen, let's go ahead and take the tower camera, and there you go. So let's hold it right here for just a second, Matt, and see what it looks like there. And we've had some storms move through earlier, but seems like the lightning frequency is not quite as bad as what we were seeing earlier with that storm over northern Jefferson County and Walker County, just based on what I'm seeing, which of course we're a bit further north. I think the more intense part of this is going to be tracking there just south of Red Mountain. This is going to be tracking more towards Shades Mountain, basically. Bluff Park. Let's go to our Bluff Park Diner camera if we can. We've got that view pulled up here, and I believe we are on switching sources here so you can see this is the view from Shades Mountain at Bluff Park. We're looking back to the north direction, so that storm is about to approach from this direction here from the north. So just a couple different angles as we watch this here. I know it's nighttime, it's tough to see out there, but you can clearly see some intense lightning with these storms as they make their way in. So that's the view. We'll check back in, see what the winds are like. We're going to get a good estimate there as we go back to that view. Let's go to radar, and we want to get back into street level, and actually let's put some first alert times on this once again.
Yeah, I want to mention real quick, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Pickens County until 9 p.m. Right along Highway 82.
Yeah, and we actually, Matt,
tornado warning there too.
Yeah, there's a tornado warning. There is a shear marker on this When you see that show up, is that Columbus radar?
I can change it on over, yeah.
Yeah, change that over to Columbus radar. Let's put some times on this. Okay, yeah, we're still showing that. That's a strong indication of some rotation here. Tornado warning for this storm in Columbus, Mississippi. So if you're watching me in northern Pickens County, first alert, this is moving east-northeast at 26 miles per hour. We might see, obviously there's, with that shear marker showing up, we've got some damaging winds showing up. When you see that yellow line show up with our AccuTrack system, that means damaging winds, and it is an incredibly accurate system whenever you see that. So always let that be a first alert when you see that with us right here, that yellow line. But looks like that went away briefly, but there's still signs. When you see the red line, that's showing that we've got some circulation here, general circulation with this. It's a strong storm, but that is tracking towards southern Lamar and northern Pickens County. So great catch, Matt, on that. We don't want to lose sight of any of these storms. We're watching for every location. I always say on a night like this, if we don't call out your town, that can be a good thing on a night like this, because a lot of times we're focused in on where we have the most extreme weather, but we will back the view out, I promise, show you what's happening around the area. As I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a long night here tracking storms across Alabama. It's a first alert weather day. Mostly what we're seeing is some areas where we have some strong straight line wind gusts, but even though there's a severe thunderstorm watch in effect, that's not to say we could not see a tornado. I've been seeing some parameters in the model suggesting that possibility is certainly there, and sometimes these storms, they briefly produce a tornado. Sometimes they can produce even larger than EF0 tornado. Storms are quite unique. Sometimes they can be tricky, so that's why we have to stay on it, and one of the reasons why we're going to stay with you right here until we track this through the metro, because there's going to be some strong winds, and this has a history of producing a tornado warning. But Matt is putting some times on the screen. It's 8:10 right now. You're watching WBRC. We're in continuous severe weather coverage mode for a storm that is severe and very intense with the straight line winds and maybe trying to produce a tornado. We're watching it closely as it crosses Jefferson County. Glen Iris Elementary School, you saw the times there, and Matt's putting that on the screen. That was showing 8:21. Some other times, there's Railroad Park around 8:17, the BJCC around 8:17, Kelly Ingram Park around 8:17 for some of this heavier rain and impacts. But already seeing quite a bit of rain up towards Trussville, as you can see. But these are all along this line. You go just north of Mountain Brook out towards the airport and point south. Anywhere you see this green here showing up, that's where you got some of those very strong winds. That is some of the strongest of this is right now is crossing right around Bluff Park. Let me see. I believe we do have that camera pulled up. So here it is. Yeah, you can see the wind starting to pick up here. 68 degrees. This is high atop Shades Mountain as that severe storm moves in right now, and we're getting the strong winds. There you go. It's almost turning into whiteout conditions right now. Probably now this observation at the top of the screen, these are not the actual current wind speeds. That is an latest observation, hourly obs coming in from the airport. I'm sure if we were to check out the current winds right now, we'd easily be seeing some winds out of this at 30 to 40 miles per hour. But that is a live look from Bluff Park Diner, and this is high atop Shades Mountain there in Bluff Park, looking to the north where this storm is approaching right now, but the winds obviously really picking up in those areas. So a lot of storm activity out there. This is back over to tower camera and also looking back in that direction as that storm tracks to the west of Birmingham. A lot of views out there live. Matt, let's go back over to radar and go to the big picture once again, just to show folks we now have a tornado warning that is in Mississippi. That storm is tracking towards Pickens County, where we now have a severe thunderstorm warning. And we have severe thunderstorm warnings just blanketing this line now from Cherokee County. Now Anniston is included in a severe thunderstorm warning, and down into Talladega County and also St. Clair County. So Trussville over to St. Clair County again. You can see from northern Jefferson to Shelby County or St. Clair County, looks like the Weather Service, they're just going to blanket this line now with severe thunderstorm warnings. Let's go to Anniston and check out this one storm. There is an area with some stronger winds just south of Weaver. Let's do a First alert times on this, Matt, this could produce some damaging winds. That's about to cross out here along Highway 9. That is moving towards White Plains at 8:23. This line has really ramped up across Calhoun County. It's about 8:13, and it does look like the radar is favoring some of the earlier models from earlier today. It does seem like all this is trying to make a push on further south, but Joseph Springs around 8:25, Whitesides Mill around 8:27. So this is moving east-northeast at 25 miles per hour. So just giving you some first alerts there if you're on Weaver, Hillcrest, Anniston for some strong winds, but especially if you're watching me around White Plains and Nancy's Creek, all those locations there, all this is moving your way. Just be ready for some heavy rainfall, some strong wind gusts, but nothing right now. If we go to rotation tracker on this, I'm just not seeing anything right now that shows, yeah, there's just mostly seeing signals of straight line winds with this. Let's just kind of follow along, Matt. We're starting here. Let's go back to let's just go along this line. Let's take it into St. Clair County. And looks like some strong wind gusts out here around Chula Vista. Pell City, yeah, got some loud rumbles, some heavy rain moving in down to Cropwell. Nothing right now that stands out. Obviously, what we're seeing here closer to Birmingham, this is where we got the stronger rotation, actually moving right into Hoover. You see it right there. That is moving into the Hoover area. So basically from Hoover to Vestavia Hills, right there around Shades Mountain, that's where the winds are really picking up. And let's track this, Matt. Looks like that is going to move back in here. We can even get in a little bit closer. I want to track where these stronger winds, and we're actually getting the strong winds here on Red Mountain right now. So let's go. Okay, so I think, okay, yeah, so you can see the camera shaking here on Red Mountain. So we're getting some strong wind gusts right now, gusting over at least over 50 miles per hour here on Red Mountain right now. These are the kind of winds that are impacting the Birmingham area. This is why we're going to stay with you with these kind of wind gusts, especially at the higher elevations. You need to be ready for the possibility of some power outages and possibly some straight line wind related damage. These are some strong winds. So 2,000, you say? Okay, so we're getting some reports right now, 2,000 without power in Jefferson County right now. So we're starting to get some of those power outages. Listen, Shelby County right now, if you're watching me out around northern Shelby County, if you're watching me north to Homewood, all along Highway 280, Lakeshore Parkway, Hoover areas, be ready for some possibility, some damaging straight line winds. A very intense storm. This is a different level storm compared to what we saw on Saturday, just based on what we're seeing right here. Clearly, this storm is packing a punch as it moves through the area. So make sure you're not out on the road, you're not about to leave, you're staying put, preferably in a site-built structure, a sturdy structure, and let this pass. This is a strong storm right now. We're getting some very intense winds here. Okay, so I'm also getting notification too, in case you do lose power, that we are simulcasting right now with our partners on iHeartRadio across the state of in the Birmingham area, but our iHeart partners where active weather is happening. Of course, we're partners with iHeart all across the state of Alabama, and we simulcast there. So you can tune us in on FM radio, and still, you know, for times like this, when you're dealing with systems, that's why we try to stay on television, stay with a line of storms like this in case it does go to the next level and you do end up with a tornado warning out of something like this. Matt, let's get back over to radar and let's do some storm tracking. We got to get to, there's a lot of folks that's about to be impacted by this. Let's get in here for a close view. And I want to blanket this line here, make sure we put some arrival times. It looks like the worst of this now has crossed Bluff Park out here towards West Lakeshore Parkway and Oxmoor Road. Actually, Matt, let's just, I want to, let me grab the controls here real quickly. I just want to go in and make sure we hit some of these areas right here around Rocky Ridge Road, Morgan Drive, Vestavia Hills High School. This is about to cross around Vestavia Hills. Let's just really hit in on some of these areas right here. Actually, you saw we just got an update, so those winds are passing quickly now. It looks like it's around Altadena Road. You see at the bottom of the screen, Altadena Woods. Could be some strong straight line winds about to move through there. Riverwood, Acton Road, and at the top of the screen, let's stop right there. At the top of the screen, you can see here's Highway 280. So there's the Pump House Road right there at the top of the screen. So Pump House Road, here's Highway 280, here's the Summit, here's the colonnade. So just to kind of, here's the colonnade right in here. So I'm just trying to give you some areas so you know where this is located. Some of these stronger winds are going to cross right around Dolly Ridge Road. So there's Dolly Ridge right there. Actually, those strong winds are crossing around Dolly Ridge. There's Rocky Ridge, and here's Interstate 459 where some of those strong winds are about to cross. So it is really about to pick up. We're still dealing with some of those strong winds here on Red Mountain, and you're going to have those higher gusts making a push down towards Altadena Road, Camp Horn Road, Caldwell Mill Road, Altadena Woods, Heatherwood Country Club, and also south to Patton Chapel Road. And also, let's go back to our tower camera, and yeah, we are dealing with some intense winds right now. Looks like the winds have actually backed around, like we might actually have a little bit of rotation here showing up. You can see the view here on the mountain. I mean, this is feeding back into that storm. I mean, we've had the storms moving in from the northwest, but it has been quite intense here on Red Mountain over the past 5 minutes with this storm. I mean, that's a live look. I'll step aside, and this is what's moving through Birmingham right now, damaging wind gusts. Not really seeing a lot of hail here at the station right now, but obviously we got winds that are moving every way, right? I mean, Matt, you look at that view. Definitely something we need to be taking extremely. This storm means business. It's moving through Birmingham. I mean, obviously we can see it. It's not just what we're seeing on the radar. So all these locations I'm calling out just to, you know, make you feel a little better about things. I know it sounds very rocky outside right now, but we're not seeing clear signals of a tornado. But this is I know it sounds like a tornado, but it is a severe thunderstorm. And this wall of wind, as it moved in from the west, it just has not let up. Let's get back to radar view and where this is all going. I mentioned a lot of locations, a lot of folks will be impacted here, big population centers. And we'll stop this view right here. So there's Birmingham at the top of the screen. We're still getting the strong wind gust here, as you can see by that green. That's where we're showing even some rotation showing up in there. But the worst of this is now starting to push through Birmingham, but also Inverness now getting in on some of the heavier rain. But a lot of locations being impacted right now. I'm most concerned about this is south of Lakeshore Parkway, pushing in towards the Altadena area. I mentioned earlier the Colonnade. There's the Summit. Here's Cahaba Heights. Looks like the worst of some of these stronger winds are going to be passing just to the south. This is just south of Dolly Ridge Road, right around Rocky Ridge Road. There's Vestavia Hills High School. Actually, looks like the worst of this has now crossed over Highway 31, but you're still probably going to see some strong wind gusts there around Highway 31. This is now pushing more into Shelby County. It's moving quickly, very potent gust front with this as it tracks to the south and east, but we're taking some lightning strikes here on the mountain. So if you do lose us briefly, I promise we will be right back, but we are going to stay with you as this moves to the south. But now seeing these strong storms push through the Birmingham area, now entering into northern Shelby County, Meadowbrook, Inverness, all the way down to Valleydale Road. If you're watching from Valleydale Road to Interstate 459, this includes everywhere up towards Water's Edge at Bent River, all the way over to Acton Road, Dolly Ridge Road, Rocky Ridge Road, all those communities there, we're going to have some strong winds. So that's what we're seeing right now through Birmingham. Need to back the view out. Once again, it's 8:21 here as we are in continuous coverage tracking storms that are sort of borderline tornado warnings on some of these. They just seem like they're trying to rotate, but we're getting some intense winds, and that's why we want to stay with you here tonight as these move through Birmingham especially, but also this one storm that prompted a warning is about to cross over into northern Pickens County. Just a quick look at this, Matt. I want to check out West Alabama on that one storm right there just to make sure we don't have any. Let's see what the rotation looks like on this. Definitely a hail core with this. Definitely going to see some large hail that's crossing around Highway 82. This is out here. This isn't far from Ethelsville. If you're watching me around Ethelsville, there you go. First alert, Ethelsville. We could have some rotation going on with this as well. Definitely a hail core with this, and there's some rotation showing up. We got to watch this one here out around Highway 82. This is between Coalfire and Ethelsville. Look at that. Golf ball size hailstones falling with this, and that's according to the National Weather Service. Golf ball size hailstones with that storm. So again, the big concern, large hail, damaging straight line winds, got to watch out for that. All right, let's get back to the big view. We'll get you back to Pickens County here in a few moments. Tuscaloosa, non-severe storm there. Right now, the big impacts, this storm's really lining up, really starting to bow out Matt, let's get into Shelby County. I want to get in right here to Chelsea. Listen, if you're in Chelsea right now, I know the wind's really picking up. There's a nice strong signature there of a bow. I don't want to say nice. That is a mean looking signature there. Anytime you see a line, you hear us say bow segment. What's happening is those winds, they're pushing that precipitation shield out. So you got some strong winds in here. We go to velocity data on this, and we can actually plot some of those winds. Let's get in so we can see some roads. There's Highway 280. Here's, I believe this is this 119 or Valleydale Road? Okay, that's 119. All right, so there's 119 right there. Let's get in a little bit closer, Matt, so we can see exactly here. I want to make sure. Okay, here's Spain Park High School. There's Altadena Woods, Heatherwood Country Clubs right here. So if I'm calling out Spain Park High School, Inverness, Hickory Ridge, Heritage Oaks, this is out towards Veterans Park. This is Valleydale Road here. We're going to be seeing some of these strong winds out around Valleydale. So Valleydale, damaging straight line winds are approaching now within the next 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, based on the latest scan here. Here's Greystone Elementary School, also out here towards Greystone, also being impacted. There's Donovan Valley Road. You're in the path of this. So this is all now crossing into Shelby County. So very soon around Chelsea, some of those strong winds like what you just saw here live from Red Mountain moving into that area. You know, it's just one of those nights here. And listen, we're just going to stay with you because it's just been it's been very soupy. Obviously, it's very hot, too hot for this time of the year. Average highs are in the mid-60s. Highs today around 80 degrees. And sometimes in the spring, we get into these setups where these storms, they seem like they want to weaken. They don't seem well organized. And then they start to intensify again. And it's just going to be one of those nights. As this moves further south and east, though, I do see the risks starting to end for areas back to the north. So we will start to see some improvements back in here in these northern areas. But quite a bit of lightning, and even though we are seeing a lot of rain, Anniston, we're still under severe thunderstorm warnings. Also Talladega, Clay County, seeing some of these strong storms. There still could be more on the way. So just stay weather alert tonight. Even if you've had some heavy rain and storms, that doesn't necessarily mean the risk is over. We have a watch in effect until 10 o'clock tonight, so we still need to pay close attention. But these winds are, I mean, we're seeing some very strong rotation. Let's go to the triple threat. I want to zoom in right here, Matt. Let's get into street level right here. That's around Heritage Oaks. There's Indian Crest Drive, Spain Park High School, and this is the little cut-through road right here that goes over to Veterans Park. So you see Spain Park High School there, Hickory Ridge, and Heritage Oaks. This is an area, we go back over to that shear marker, seeing some indication of strong winds. Let's get in and label these streets right here, Matt. Let's get in really close so we can see there's County Road 363, Cahaba Valley Trace, Heritage Oaks. That's where I'm seeing the strongest winds right now. Here's Indian Crest Drive. So a first alert for you around Cahaba Valley Trace. Here's Oak Mountain Park Road. So Oak Mountain State Park here to the south. So it's about to cross over Oak Mountain at this time, but it is now pushing south there over Valleydale Road. Let's see, there's Weatherford Drive, South Broken Bow Drive, if you're watching me there. Meadowbrook Road. You're being impacted Meadow Ridge. Little Ridge Estates. You're about to see some of the, here's Eagle Point right here on the north face of Oak Mountain. So Eagle Point subdivisions right here. Of course, several years ago, that's where we had that one storm that moved out of Bibb County that tracked over Oak Mountain. We saw a lot of damage here around Eagle Point. Now this go around, this is moving in from the north. So Eagle Point, we're about to see, there you go. Here's those strong winds now moving in right now. First alert for you. And strong winds now crossing. This is not far right there from, this is about to cross over Oak Mountain at this point based on what we're seeing with these winds tracking to the south. So that's 119, so it is moving south. That's Cahaba Valley Road. So I mentioned earlier Valleydale Road's up in here. So this is Cahaba Valley Road. And now next in line, there's Donovan Valley Road to the south. Once it crosses over, here's Oak Mountain. You see it right there on the map. There's Oak Mountain. So these strong winds are about to cross. And sometimes you can get these, you know, terrain enhanced winds in these areas too. Terrain can certainly have an impact on that. So we could see some winds in here gusting easily over 58 miles per hour. But Simsville, that's another location if you're watching me around Simsville. So So checking in with the National Weather Service, they had prompted some warnings that were in Calhoun County. They've issued a flash flood warning now for Birmingham, Jefferson, Shelby, St. Clair counties. A flash flood warning has been issued. So already starting to see that rainfall starting to add up into those areas. But we're still tracking this wall of wind now in Shelby County that's now approaching Chelsea and Westover, giving you first alert times. Here it comes right there. This is not a tornado, but this is damaging straight line winds that we're seeing that's now moving in. It's approaching Harpersville and Westover, and very, very strong signatures of that. And then you follow this north and still getting some heavy rain, but we don't see quite as much of a bowing segment. We'll keep an eye on this around Leeds, Matt, where you still have some of the inflow notch. Let's just look in here. Just make sure we don't have something trying to spin up. We might have to take off the warnings. Let's just clear some of that off the screen. There we go. Let's get right in here into this view. Grants Mill, that's right around Grants Mill Road, Leeds. So anytime I see these little curvature areas here, we might have a little inflow. Sometimes things can quickly spin up, but that's right around Buc-ee's there. That's off of near the shops at Grand River, and at this point it's heavy rain. There certainly could be some damaging straight line winds with this. Seeing still some of these strong winds out around Cook Springs. That's probably some of the strong winds as well coming off of Bald Rock Mountain. There's Branchville getting some heavy rain, but east of Alabama, we've just basically all along this line, there have been severe thunderstorm warnings. Looks like some of the worst of this weather now that was near DeArmonville and Anniston is now shifting over into Cleburne County. Now this is the Atlanta area, but of course we have a lot of folks that tune us in around Heflin and all these locations here, so we'll just want to let you know that some of those storms are about to move into Cleburne County, and we're having some intense wind. So here you go, power outage numbers right now up to over 3,000 customers without power in the Birmingham area. So, Matt, I want to throw it over to you quickly, and just a reminder to folks out there, if you do lose power, we're just staying with you here because obviously these storms have had quite an impact through Birmingham, and we just want to stay on top of this, make sure everyone gets a first alert. Now we're seeing that line push into Shelby County, move through Shelby County, but also keep a watch on this one. It's just borderline tornado. We might see a tornado warning out of this, and that one that was moving out of Mississippi over Pickens County looks very intense.
Yeah, just looking at all the storms. So let's break it down. Let's break it down for everybody. So if you live in Marion County, Winston, Coleman, Walker, right now in Fayette, you're generally okay. Most of the active weather's off to your south and east. That one lone storm in Pickens we're watching is trying to move towards the east, trying to travel a little bit to the east-northeast, but generally I think it's going to stay just to the south of Fayette. All the other storms that are right along 2059 and point to the south, really along Interstate 20 as you go from Birmingham towards Anniston, the main threat will be damaging winds. And really the main concern that we're watching is some straight line wind that could cause some damage in parts of Shelby County. So we've been showing you the shear rate, and we're looking at some very intense wind. It's moving right along 280. Near Chelsea, want to give you that first alert. When you start seeing this red band of strong winds, we're talking about winds gusting up to 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. I've been looking at the chat. There's been reports of some trees going down. So obviously, we've seen lots of power outages, and this will likely continue in Shelby County where we're seeing the strongest winds. And it's mainly because we're watching an area of storms that's sort of bowing. When you see this bowing signature, that usually indicates straight line wind damage. So Harpersville, right along 231, Childersburg, Wilsonville, Columbiana, all this is moving into the area. Chelsea's getting hit as we speak. It looks like the worst of the wind and the rain is out of Hoover. It's now out of Vestavia Hills. Here in Birmingham, it sounds a lot better here. Everything was just shaking with all the intense wind and the lightning and the thunder. But we are seeing some significant improvement in Jefferson County. And now the biggest threats are in Shelby County and pushing into Talladega. So just giving you a far in advance word, if you're in Sylacauga, in parts of Talladega, I want to give you that first alert for some intense wind and some heavy rainfall as well. We're going to pop those warnings back on. Once again, the yellow polygons that you see blinking back and forth, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. So for Shelby County, the severe thunderstorm warnings until 9 p.m. So we've got another 30 minutes or so for the intense wind and rain to move through, and then we're going to see that move out. Want to go ahead and look at that storm in Pickens County because this one is actually going to be a strong wind and hail producer. So we're going to switch over to our radar site. And let's look at this velocity signature and seeing some broad rotation for sure with this. Let's look at the shear rate.
Are you on Columbus radar?
Yes, we're looking through the Columbus radar and we're seeing some pretty intense wind from Archer to Beards Mill as well. So right now this is a severe thunderstorm warning for Pickens County up until 9 o'clock. I think this storm is the biggest threat for now, is damaging winds of 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. And if we look at our triple threat, this is showing a bunch of purple. So you may ask, what does that mean? Well, let's go ahead and do a little query, and we're talking about maybe quarter size, inch and a half size diameter hail, and that could cause some damage. So that's in the Ethelsville area, seeing perhaps some large hail and some damaging winds. So we have a large area. We're trying our best to get to everyone, because I'm sure a lot of spots are dealing with significant wind and rain, and you may be without power because these storms are producing some really strong gusty winds. So Wes, looks like the biggest storms right now, Shelby County, and that storm in northwestern Pickens producing some significant wind and hail.
Yeah, you see that purple showing up. I mean, that storm right there, some golf ball size hail certainly. In fact, Matt, you can probably take that camera from Reform at Alabama Property Development. We'll take that and just see what the lightning. I bet the lightning is just off the charts with that storm right now as we show some of the data. So I'm just checking around, getting some ground truth here coming in from Shelby County. We've been watching this wall of wind, basically, this straight line wind threat that moved through, and I've talked to some folks that have been in the path of this and reported in, said the winds weren't quite as bad as some of the model or radar data suggested there as it moved across Altadena, but obviously there's going to be some locations along this line where the winds are going to be higher. There's going to be some isolated pockets where you really get those winds 58 plus miles per hour, but that severe thunderstorm warning will continue for Shelby County. Talladega County, we're not included just yet. We'll keep a watch on this down around Childersburg, but that has weakened some. As you can see, it almost looks like two little areas here where we have some heavier rainfall, likely some intense lightning. Let's look at the lightning count. And once again, you know, we're kind of going through one of these phases where it seems like everything might sort of be trending down again. But the total lightning count's around 419 strikes. You can see they're around 419. Let's watch that number. If it continues to jump up, yes, up to 421. So, I mean, we still have storms. All this is not just totally falling apart. 423, as you can see, these are lightning counts over the past 15 minutes. So with all these storms, it is really popping. There you go. Look at that one, 300. Let's go in closer on this, Matt, because that number does account for what you see on the screen. So there you go, 356 lightning strikes over the past 15 minutes. It is popping right now. There you go. There's a live look. This is Pickens County. This is from Alabama Property Development. This is from Reform. 67 degrees right now. We've got a severe storm moving in. Be ready. If you're watching me here, Reform back to Ethelsville and points north, there's going to be some damaging hail with this storm right now. And we need to watch this one as it keeps on tracking to the east. I know we've had a lot of storms that's moved through some of these counties earlier today, but as this enters West Alabama, still need to watch this one. It's one of those lone storms that could be a troublemaker, and already a lot of lightning, could be some damaging winds with this as well. And when you go to our sky vision, I just want to stress again, you see that wind speed. That's not the current wind speed. That's the last observation that we had from the nearest airport observation. So I just want to stress that. But clearly, we've got a storm with some supercellular type structure to it here, Matt. Yeah. You can see there's a hail core. There's obviously a strong updraft. We got some intense lightning. That's Delma. This is Coal Fire. This is State Highway 82. By far the strongest storm at the moment that we have on the radar in our coverage area, but there's clearly an inflow notch. We could have some rotation. Got to watch right here, about to cross Highway 82 near Coal Fire. Here's Reform, and we'll be watching that as it crosses just north. That camera that we went to, that is in the Pickens County Airport, so that's looking back to the north direction, so we'll have a view there from that camera. This is State Highway 17. Earlier we were with Taylor. She was in Lamar County on Highway 17. We've been tracking these storms since well in the early afternoon, but now another storm here about to cross, of course, further south than that one storm that we had earlier. Let's get back to Shelby County real quickly, because we have been tracking some of those strong winds. There it is right there, that leading edge of that line, and that now basically we are seeing anywhere from Jefferson County to Shelby County, the western part of Jefferson County to Shelby County included in this. The city of Birmingham, now most of this has cleared. Looks like Irondale, let's just start to the north, Matt, kind of work our way down the line, but it looks like the worst of this has now passed. There's Irondale over here. Looks like the heaviest of the rain now has passed St. Vincent's East out here toward, you can see Center Point, Trussville, thankfully. This go around, not quite as impactful for Trussville and Center Point as what we saw with that last system, but still another severe storm to impact our area. But the leading edge of this severe storm now pushing towards Branchville, Prescott, Cook Springs, Lawley, Sterrett, Vandiver. If you're watching me in Vandiver and Vincent, first alert, this is now about to bring some strong winds, 58 miles per hour into your area. I don't know if that warning is going to be continued as this crosses the Coosa River. But the Weather Service, obviously, they will continue to monitor this. But the big story out of this one storm has just been straight line winds. Looks like Hoover Fire Department has reported a tree down at 570 Shades Crest Road. Also seeing a tree down in the roadway, Shades Crest Road near Park Avenue. We're seeing a tree down in the road. So there's going to be some trees down out there with winds like this tonight. Just be careful, everyone, if you must get out on these wet roads. And also note that there is a flash flood warning that has been issued that also includes Shelby and Jefferson County as well. But Harpersville, you're getting some of the strong winds now. It's just kind of making its way down Highway 231 or Highway 280. You can see there it is right here around Harpersville. There's Calcis, Arkwright. Chelsea, looks like the worst of this has now crossed Chelsea and is making its way over Oak Mountain at this time, but it has weakened a little bit. It is interesting, actually, what you're seeing right there, Matt. I believe that's from Oak Mountain right there. You can see looks like maybe some breaks there in that precipitation. But as we track this to the South, Columbiana, Wilsonville, you are included in the warning polygon. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, but there you go. Talladega County has been included now, so the Weather Service will continue. That will be until 9:30. We're still tracking that more intense part of this line, but now it clearly to me looks like straight line winds. I mean, I'm not seeing anything right now that suggests, you know, we were staying with you earlier because it just seemed like there was some rotation still trying to show up with this, and I was afraid as soon as we broke away that a warning could happen. But now it looks like more straight line winds. You see that linear circuit, that linear pattern. Now, if there's one spot we probably need to keep an eye on for some spin, would be right in this near Leeds, right here to the north in Pell City. You know, we'll keep a watch on that, but clearly some strong straight line winds. That's more the concern, especially how this is bowing out. But it's about to cross at Childersburg and Harpersville, so be ready. You're about to get some strong winds move through that area. So let's go to oh, okay. So just a quick reminder here for folks at home that might lose power. Just to let you know where you can also find us. We are live with our partners from iHeartRadio on 103.7 The Q, Magic 96.5, News Radio 105.5 WERC, and 102.5 The Bull and The Beat, and 105 Hallelujah FM. So a lot of different radio stations where we can certainly, you can find us in the event of a power outage, but also the First Alert weather app. You can see we also have our streaming app, and this is where we were earlier. We were streaming and tracking storms. If you have our streaming app, now this is not the First Alert weather app. This is an entirely different app. We have a 24/7 weather channel there. Just make sure you have this on your television. You just go, if you're on Fire TV, if you're on Apple TV, you can download that. And I actually had someone saying they were watching the baseball game on the app, but you can find us there on the app stream, so it's free. Just download it. Just a reminder, another way, we're in the spring severe weather season, so on nights like this when we're tracking severe weather, just a reminder where you can also follow us right there. But it's 8:41, we're approaching 9 o'clock, and right now mostly what we are seeing severe thunderstorm warnings. That warning that was over at Anniston and parts of Calhoun County, the worst of this for Anniston and Oxford has pushed over into Cleburne County. It's just some rain and rumbles. I'm not concerned about what I'm seeing over us right now. Down into Talladega County around the Super Speedway, Highway 77 south of the city of Talladega. It's just rain, rumbles. Munford, not overly concerned about this, but we still need to be alert for this line that's approaching from the west. Let's keep an eye. Trussville to Leeds, and especially right here around Chelsea. Still some indications, some very, very strong winds. That's about to move in towards Wilsonville and Childersburg, and this is also very close to the radar site. So we've got a good eye on this, and clearly there's some possibility, some damaging winds in that part of the coverage area. Matt, let's go back to the northern part of this line. I know we're focused in there. I just want to show right here from Margaret back to Pell City. Let's zoom into some roadways in here. There's Leeds. Let's get in right here. Just want to get out ahead of this for folks. There's Wildcat Road, Dry Creek Road if you're watching Old Beavers Road. Here's Pell City at the top of the screen. So if you're anywhere from Wolf Creek back to Stewart's Crossroads, this is where also we're under severe thunderstorm warning. We could see some of these winds 58 miles per hour. Not necessarily a tornado, but could see some strong winds. New London, we're also included in that as well. So just want to make sure I pinpoint our friends here in St. Clair County that we're certainly watching you here too on the northern end of this line. But you can see the north end of the warning. It goes right up to near Prescott, just north of Chula Vista, and that's about it. And then it's just mostly and basically rain, rumbles, and a threat of lightning. Matt, what are you seeing? I know we're watching that storm over into Pickens County. Any changes in that storm over the past few scans?
Yeah, just continuing to watch that. Storm's now moving in reform as we speak. So I kind of want to show you the camera right now because we got the severe thunderstorm warning for Pickens County. Once again, this is until 9 o'clock. So we got another 15, 17 minutes from now until it expires. But we're talking about some pretty intense rain and wind right along Highway 82. So if I can just switch this over for you, we'll just move this in so you can see what I'm talking about. We've got lots of lightning and some very heavy rain as well from this storm. And we're talking about, just to give you a perspective of how much lightning we're talking about, it looks like we're getting about 350 to 375 lightning strikes within about 15 minutes in Pickens County alone. And we're talking about some intense lightning. So this storm is definitely capable of producing some large hail as well. So just be mindful of that. If you live into parts of Coal Fire, that's where we're seeing that hail core, where we might be seeing some quarter size, maybe some golf ball sized hail. So that's going to be enough to cause some damage. So definitely want to take a shelter if you can. Avoid travel in Pickens County as this storm's moving off towards the east, but that's the storm that's producing the intense hail and the strong damaging winds. So that's what we're looking at. I'm going to switch over sources so you can see what I'm talking about. This is that same storm I was mentioning that's in Pickens County, and just some intense heavy rainfall. In fact, I want to look at the velocity and just want to give it a few times here. Gordo at 9:07, Fairview at 9:10, where we're seeing the storm moving up towards the north and east. So pretty intense wind and rain. When we start seeing this kind of idea, we could be seeing some wind damage of 60 miles per hour. So that BTI, Wes, is showing up as a 5.0. So something we need to watch for possible rotation over the next 30 minutes in parts of Pickens County. So I'm going to take this off, go back to reflectivity. We're going to clear some of these views if we can, and just want to show you what's happening in the overview. We'll go back and show the entire area of central Alabama, and we are tracking those severe thunderstorm warnings pretty much right along I-20 and points to the south and east. So right now, if you're in Talladega County, all the way down to Sylacauga, this is our first alert for you for those strong winds that are going to be impacting you. If you were watching us like 30 minutes ago, you could probably see all that lightning that we were showing you on top of our tower cam here in Birmingham. That's the same system that's going to be moving through, that's in Shelby County, that will be moving through Talladega over the next 30 minutes or so. So get ready for some intense wind and heavy rain. So let's go back to our tower cam real quick. This is in reform. Look at that. Wow. Just lots of heavy rain. Very hard to see anything at this point. Lots of lightning. Once again, we're getting like 350 plus strikes within 15 minutes or so. So this is an intense storm. Once again, possibly producing some quarter size, maybe larger hail than that. And this severe thunderstorm warning is up until 9 p.m. So want to give you that first alert. Intense storm there in Pickens County, Wes.
All right, Matt. And listen, I know we've got a baseball game and we've been breaking in with these storms moving in. We're going to try to get you right back to that game, I promise you. We are tracking this. What's that? 5-0 USA. Okay, we'll get you back over to the game. But right now we have no active tornado warnings, but this one storm, I want to take one more look at this and then we'll get you back over. Let's go to Shelby County right here and let's click on this, Matt. Just want to give some first alert times here on this one storm. Let's go to velocity. Let's move east-southeast at 31 miles per hour. Okay, so really not seeing strong indications of rotation with this. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to break away and go to back to our streaming coverage. So we'll continue to track this on the stream. Of course, if there's another tornado warning, we will break in, let you know. We'll get you right back over to the baseball game at this time. But a lot of what you see here from Anniston and Point South into the east, this, even though we're under a severe thunderstorm warning, we are going to stay with this. Okay. So we are going to stay with this here until this warning expires. So